Welcome once again to Humanist TV Africa. This is Humanist TV Africa, and I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to yet another live show, which is very important to all of us. My name is Kato Mukasa. I'm a Ugandan lawyer interested in issues human rights, interested in issues development, interested in issues to do with progress, critical thinking, and humanism. Now, I want to encourage you to please subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Humanist TV Africa. If you Google us and you go to Google, as the internet, put in Humanist TV Africa, you're going to see all the videos we have been making. We have hundreds of videos right there, which are actually important shows you can watch and learn a lot. I want to encourage you also to write us at our email, which is info@humanisttvafrica.com. Also, our WhatsApp is +254 7473 56767. That is our WhatsApp. I want to request you, to encourage you to reach out to us. If you want to work with us, remember, we are a charity, we are an NGO, we are fully registered and allowed to do what we do. As I talk with you today, we are a fully registered NGO that operates in different parts of the world. Therefore, we are calling for volunteers. If you're a lawyer out there, you're a journalist, you're a social worker, you're an engineer, you're a medical doctor, you're a teacher, whatever profession you are an IT expert, you know technology, we want to welcome you to work with us at Humanist TV Africa. But remember, you're going to be working with us as a volunteer. We are welcoming volunteers. If you're a student, for example, in your third year, in your second year, you want to do internship, this is the right time, the right opportunity to write to us, and we shall actually help you learn a lot. Remember, we are registered, but of course, we have physical studios in Uganda, we have physical studios in Kenya, we have studios in Zambia, we have studios in Zimbabwe, we have studios in Nigeria and Ghana. We also have studios in Sierra Leone, in a way, and we have studios in the UK, and of course we have studios in the US, and we continue encouraging our viewers to please write to us. We want to open up studios in India, we want to open up studios in Japan, and in other parts of the US, and in other countries in Europe, and of course more countries in Africa. So we are encouraging you to please write to us, join us. We are here to educate each other. We learn from you. That's why our email there. We want to learn from you as you learn from us. So we are here to educate, inform, empower, inspire, and give you a bit of entertainment. Now, today's program is the Human Rights Watch. Human Rights Watch with Kato Mukasa, and of course, I focus on Uganda, basically because I'm a Ugandan who really practiced a bit of human rights law in Uganda for a long time, and of course working with NGOs for a long time. So my interest in this episode, in this program, is human rights, and of course, looking at Uganda. Now, Uganda is a country in East Africa with over 45 million people. It's a very beautiful country, I should tell you. If you haven't gone to Uganda, Uganda is a very beautiful country. It used to be a very peaceful country. But I should also tell you, Uganda has very peaceful people, peace-loving people, very humble people, and extremely hard-working people. That is Uganda. And of course, Uganda has the best soils, I think, in East Africa. Thank you, Dennis, for the map. Yeah, that is brilliant of you. That is very brilliant. Yeah. And the producer, of course, is from Uganda, so he appreciates what I'm talking about. So Uganda is a very beautiful country. It has the best weather in the world, I should say, without bias. There's no snow, there's no winter, there's moderate rain. We don't get these kind of hurricanes and all that stuff in Uganda. We are at the equator. It's a very lovely country. It has the best temperature you can ever think about. I love my country, and I'm a Ugandan. Very proud to be Ugandan. Despite the challenges, I remain very proud to say I am a Ugandan. A beautiful country, beautiful climate, beautiful environment, beautiful people, humble people, very welcoming people. That is my country. And of course, with fertile soils, Uganda is basically an agriculture producing country. We rely more on agriculture. 80% is getting their livelihood from farming, from subsistence farming. Many of us are subsistence farmers. Now, I wanted to give you a brief about Uganda. Having said that, and of course, I'm going to tell you a bit about politics in Uganda, of course. I should say that as a Ugandan, it was my right to always participate in politics in Uganda, and I did really participate in politics in Uganda. I should also say I started voting in 1996. That's the first time I voted. And of course, the president by then was a new president, new in a way that was the first general election that he organized to be voted into office. He had came to power in 1986, and he ruled us for 10 years without a vote. So in 1996, he organized a general presidential election in which I participated, and I remember very well. It was 1996, and there were candidates, but my candidate at that time was Paul Semogere. Paul Kawanga Semogere. Yes, I never voted in Museveni, even when he was presenting himself for the first time. Why? Because he had ruled for 10 years, and yet he had promised that he was going to come to simply lay the ground and leave politics to the wananchi, as they used to say, wananchi, to the local people, the citizens. He was saying the army must get out of politics. It's going to be in the office for 10 years, organize everything, and then he will leave, and the army will go back to the barracks, and then the civilians will lead us. That's the reason why I didn't vote for Museveni in 1996, because he had broken his promise. But many Ugandans didn't see this. Many Ugandans didn't see this. These are 30 plus years ago. But I was young. I was only about 18, 19 years, but I was very, very observant. I didn't vote for Museveni for that violation of the promises he had made. Then, of course, down the road, we've got other general elections after 5 years. It has been a symbol. It has been periodically known that in Uganda, every after 5 years, you go for a general election. That's why after 1996, we had, of course, 2001. And then the voting pattern continued until the last general election, where we had a very, 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 very bloody election. And of course, my producer will be showing us a few photos of the things I'm talking about, the violence in Uganda. Yes, I agree with you, Dennis. We can be showing a few what was as I talk. But let me first explain a few things before bring a bit of images, so that people can actually have another glimpse of the issues I'm talking about. So Uganda, despite being a very lovely country, being a very peaceful country, being with the most humble people I know in the world, the most welcoming people I know in the world. I've not seen openly racist people in Uganda. I've never seen a racist person in Uganda who's so open, so brazenly open that I've seen in Europe, I've seen in the US. So many racists, you cannot see them in Uganda. We are so welcoming, so peaceful people, so loving people. That's the country Uganda I know. But why do we talk about human rights today? That's number one. We have had a president in power since 1986. I should tell you honestly that the general election of 1996 was credible. And I should tell you that Museveni won us because I was on the opposition from the start. I never voted Museveni. I was a DP, a Democratic Party voter. I really never voted NRM. But I should say that in 1996, NRM won us free and fair, square. They beat us square. Museveni was popular, was being loved. Even when some of us were resisting him, the guy had the support. And I should also say that in 2001, again, Museveni had popularity. He still had popularity. Yes, there were challengers who came on the board, but still, I should say, even 2001, I think Museveni still was a credible candidate then. Now, things became worse from about 2006. And remember, the things I'm talking about, I have documented them in my book, Stolen Legitimacy. The story I'm giving you, I've put it in my book, Stolen Legitimacy. Now, this is the most important thing that we're talking about. When people go to vote, thank you, Dennis, the producer. That's my book. The book is called Stolen Legitimacy. Please look for it on Amazon and see Uganda from a perspective of a lawyer, from a perspective of a human rights defender, and from a perspective of a person that has been actively involved in the politics of Uganda since 1996. Now, all the campaign that followed, thank you, Dennis, that's the book I've written. It has been out there for 2 years. I want to encourage you to look for a copy of that book, Stolen Legitimacy, and see why I'm telling you Uganda is a failed state, and why I'm telling you that there have been so many illegitimate presidential elections. There have been so many stolen victories in Uganda. Now, because of the environment that is so unfair, look at the general election of 2006. It was really a mess. Then look at another election of 2011. 2011. It was another general turbulence. It was another election that was full of chaos. Now, how do we talk about human rights? And we start with electioneering. Because electioneering is a process that gives us credible people that we know we are comfortable to stay with. Now, whenever we go for a general election and people are killed, people are imprisoned, then we say their human rights have been taken. But also, our human rights as citizens are taken. Remember, if you go to vote and our vote are not counted, or they are misplaced, or they are not respected, there's bad stuffing, there's a lot of confusion, then our rights to have a free and fair election, our rights to vote the people we want and be respected, that right is taken. Remember, the Constitution of Uganda, which was drafted, 1995 Constitution of Uganda, as amended, gives you and me a right. Ugandans give us a right to change governments in peace. When you look at the first 3 chapters of that constitution, they gave us the fundamental right to even change a government that has been mistreating people, a government that violates the Constitution. The Constitution gives us a right to remove a government that actually breaks the Constitution. Now, the Bill of Rights in that Constitution of Uganda gives every Ugandan a right to participate in a free and fair election. And when you look at the Presidential Elections Act, the law that judges elections is very clear on the guidance on the management of elections in Uganda. When we organize these elections, they must be free and fair. All candidates must be heard. All candidates must be given the same opportunity to visit all voting polling stations. All candidates must be free to campaign freely. But what has been happening in the previous elections? Candidates such as Kizza Besigye have voted for Kizza Besigye for all the time he has been contesting. I've been voting for Kizza Besigye. Why? Because he was the most credible challenger of President Museveni. But many times, my candidate, Kizza Besigye, hasn't been allowed to speak up during campaigns. There are times when he was nominated, when he was in prison. Now think about it. If you're in a country where your presidential candidate is put in prison, how do you say that the election is free and fair? At one point, my candidate was Mzee Dandisali, who was a bit old and calm. Yeah, he had a peaceful election. But again, there were areas where we couldn't go to canvass for votes. Then my candidate for the past election was Asante Muchagula. We call him Bobby Wine. That was my candidate in the 2021 election. But again, as Vince is going to show you a few photos, you're going to see my candidate putting on a bulletproof vest in middle of a presidential election. Now, that is my candidate in 2021, Bobby Wine, as we call him, or Asante Muchagula, as I know him. I know him personally. He knows me personally. We have interacted a number of times. And I used to tell him, look, Uganda is a country where democracy is actually on paper. Now, that was my candidate in 2021, the most challenging candidate of President Museveni, the most youthful candidate he has ever faced. That was Bobby Wine, Asante Muchagula. But again, as we campaigned for him, the guy had to put on a bulletproof. Why? Because he was being shot at everywhere he was going. Now, there's no way you can tell me that Uganda had a serious, credible general election when presidential candidates couldn't walk freely. When the incumbent, President Museveni, would use a chopper, would use a private jet, actually a military jet, to go and canvass votes, when Kyagulanyi and the others couldn't even reach the voters. There are many times when people are being shot at during campaigns, during rallies. And as you can see in that photo, a presidential candidate is putting on a bulletproof vest. A bulletproof vest. Now, how do you campaign when you fear for your life? How do you campaign when the soldiers are everywhere, as Dennis has shown you right there on the screen? You can see that was 2021 December time. December is November. Soldiers are everywhere on the streets. Soldiers are even in the villages, as you can see. Those are villages. Soldiers are everywhere. Every polling station has soldiers. Now, how do you expect my mother, who was 75 years by then, how do you expect my mother to go and vote when all she can see are soldiers everywhere? Now, it means that my right to go and vote has been jeopardized by the presence of the soldiers. This is my colleague, our colleague here at Human TV, Joseph Richamus, who is also a reporter and a news anchor and a presenter at CBS FM. Joseph Richamus had to put on a bullet vest to be able to go and get news. Now, if Ugandan journalists have to put on bulletproof vests to be able to go and get us news, then you can say we have human rights is respected in Uganda. So today I'm simply looking at human rights from the point of electioneering in Uganda, where journalists are being beaten, journalists are thrown into jail for actually reporting news, where people are intimidated during campaigns. In the same period, November 2021, the day was 18th of November and 19th of November, over 100 people were shot dead, shot in cold blood in the middle of the city. This was during the campaign time. You can imagine bodies falling, over 100 people shot dead in the middle of the capital city during a presidential campaign. Now, which signals do you send to the voters when you shoot them and kill them during campaigns? And at the same time, there are many Loop supporters by that time who were also shot at, and some of them killed. At the same time, there were so many Loop supporters at that time who were put into prisons, others into the so-called safe houses, and many of them were disappeared. Up to now, the Noob Party, the National Unity Platform Party, says that hundreds of their followers, of their supporters, of their activists have been disappeared. Just like that, you can see on that screen. Hundreds of them have been put in prison, in cells, and their people don't know where they are. Those, when we are able to be brought to court, had spent a year plus on remand without being produced to court. And now others have been killed. As you can see, some of the photos, the torture, or people being burnt by flat irons, they are being forced on military vehicles. These are the issues of human rights violation. Getting people, round them off. The army is rounding off people and putting them to military barracks. Remember, as a lawyer, I should tell you that this child, that boy there, is below 18 years. That boy was in prison by the army. Until when human rights defenders came out to defend him, the boy would have died in a military barracks. Now, when the soldiers come and intimidate people during campaigns, it means that that election is not free and fair because it then lacks credibility. Now, these are the challenges we're talking about. That if you're going to campaign and get a president, there's no way you can say that this general election is credible when candidates are being intimidated, when their supporters are being shot at. I should also tell you that many people are being disappeared, being arrested. Then it's going to show you a photo of one of them who was actually got from his home, taken to an unsafe house, and then his body and chest was burnt by using a flat iron, a hot flat iron, Mwesgwa and others. Those are examples. And then it's going to show you a photo there of Mwesgwa being burned by a flat iron. And of course, writers like Kakwenza have been arrested, tortured for months. You can see this guy here, a supporter of Bobi Wine. Bobi Wine, that guy there in a t-shirt, is the opposition leader in Uganda. As young as he is the youthful opposition leader we have ever got in Uganda. He was the main challenger of President Museveni, and still his victory was stolen. But this is on the right side of me is a man called Mwesgwa, and this guy was tortured by government operatives who took him and burnt his chest with a flat iron. Burnt his chest with a flat iron. Now, that kind of torture, and he was lucky to survive it because others are killed right during the torturing process. And many have been disappeared. You're going to see the photo of Kakwenza, my good brother there, Kakwenza, who was taken in Communicado in unknown places and tortured on the commands of the son of the president. Tortured. Those are scars. And I was only able to show you that when he had gotten out of the jail. Now, if you can get a writer, Kakwenza is simply a writer, an innocent writer. who simply wrote a novel, just a novel, and his novel is even fictional. He doesn't even write directly. The novel is fictional, but they thought it was about the president, and the guy was arrested and tortured. Tortured. That is Kakweza, with of course the leader of opposition when he had just gotten out of the dungeon. Now, these are the situations of human rights violations in Uganda. Then it's back to me. Yes, you can see people getting tortured and tortured and tortured. Now, this program is intended to talk about these issues. We shall be exposing them one by one. We shall be handling institutions one by one. I will come here and then give analysis of Uganda police. I will come here and give analysis of the judicial. Of course, as a lawyer, I will come here and analyze for you institutions such as the Uganda Human Rights Commission. I will come here with a program to simply analyze institutions one by one, and I show you how these institutions, like the judiciary, basically work for the dictator. As the lawyer will tell you, in Uganda, we don't have a judiciary that is worth its name. It has been compromised. I've been a lawyer observing, and I should tell you, my observation is that the legal regime in Uganda is almost dead. The judiciary does not work. The parliament is not working. Everything has been personalized. I'll come here and I tell you how weak the parliament is as an institution. Therefore, you cannot expect to get better rights, better laws from this parliament. As I speak today, this parliament has passed a kill the get deal. Get people in Uganda are being witch hunted. And that president right there signed it in May 2021. And I speak today, we have hundreds of Ugandans in exile, in Kenya, in Zambia, in Zimbabwe, because of the Anti-Homosexuality Act, the LGBTQ Act, which actually, basically, when you look at it, it was signed on 29th May 2023 by the president, became law. And let me give you a few insight in it. A person convicted of aggravated homosexuality suffers death. A person who commits the offense of homosexuality is imprisoned for 20 years. A person convicted of promotion of homosexuality is imprisoned for 20 years. Person recruiting children into homosexuality is imprisoned for 20 years. Person who has committed the attempted aggravated homosexuality is imprisoned for 14 years. Attempted, you can imagine. How do you define attempted? Then look at this. A person who has been convicted of attempted homosexuality is imprisoned for 10 years. Then the owner of the premises, such as the lodge that promoted homosexuality or promotes homosexuality, is imprisoned for 10 years. Then they say down there that a child found guilty of homosexuality is imprisoned for 3 years. Then they say media houses that publish materials that promote homosexuality, the fine is 1 billion Uganda shillings and the license revoked for 10 years. You can imagine, the license is revoked for 10 years. Now, we don't know what it means to promote homosexuality. Then thank you so much. Let me give you my analysis as I wind up. We don't know exactly what this law, because the law is vague. I've read it and I've written a book to debunk this law, but of course to water it down. I have written a book against the law on homosexuality in Uganda. And I think this law is not fair because NGOs, like the NGOs have been working with in Uganda, can no longer operate freely because we fear that when I talk with homosexuals, they will say, I'm promoting it. What do you mean by promoting homosexuality? If I go and I talk with homosexuals about their rights, am I promoting homosexuality? The law says I am. But again, by not allowing me to talk with homosexuals as a lawyer, it means that you are violating my rights as a lawyer, but also you are violating the rights of my clients as homosexuals. Now, this is why this law becomes too bad. That as I speak, there are many gay people outside Uganda. And we have been sponsoring some of these gay people in Kenya and in Zambia. At least we give them some food. These are Ugandans in exile that are lacking beddings, that are lacking food. One day I'll come here and I'll show you the support we give these people. I will never show their names, I'll never show their faces, but I'll show you we are giving them mattresses, we are giving them food. These are Ugandans in exile because they are homosexuals. They are Ugandans that have been forced to go away from their country. Now, these are issues of human rights. And this program will be tackling them one by one. We shall be coming here with programs tailored on institutions. I'll be showing you how does the Uganda police violate human rights. How does the Parliament of Uganda violate human rights? How does the Human Rights Commission violate human rights? How does the judiciary violate human rights? So I'll be coming with programs that are specifically targeting institutions. But also, I'll tell you what we can do as Ugandans to fight for our constitutionally given rights. I want to thank you so much for being part of this show. It has been a very wonderful show. My name is Katom Kansa. I'm a lawyer by profession. I want to encourage you to please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, our Facebook page is Human TV Africa, but also write to us at info@humanism. The email is info@humanistvafrica.com. Please send us a WhatsApp message. WhatsApp is +254-7473-56767, and you'll be able to get a feedback from us. You may want to be part of the show. You may want to be a guest speaker in this show. You are most welcome. I want to say thank you so much, and I'm going to request Dennis to, of course, to play the a montage of our video, and then I'll be saying bye-bye. Thank you for being a good audience. See you in the next one.